D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So, I finished the House of the Dragon episode 6. I finished it last night, obviously, because it was on. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna film my review and everything right now. And then I was like, you know what? No, because I wanted to think about some things. Because after reading the book, I'm all like, should I talk about what happens, like spoilery stuff and everything? And I was like, you know what? No. I mean, I might talk about some things, but I was like, I'll think about it. So I thought about it and I was like, I won't spill too much. I'll just, talk about things like maybe that we've seen in the trailer and stuff. But I don't want to spoil everything for you because I don't want you to, I don't want to tell you everything that happens. And plus, like, I have a friend who gets so annoyed with me because I'll be like, be talking to her, but like, well, in the books, and she'll be like, oh, you and you're in the book and everything. And I'm all like, hey, I'm sorry, I have some extra info, fucker. So, all right, so this episode, it was not my favorite episode out of all of them, but I did enjoy it. There were some things that I definitely liked, and then there were some things that I was like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not that big a deal. Like, it didn't upset me. Now, this was the first episode. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little jarring. The time jump and the actress changes because Emma D'Arcy, I think that's how you say her name, and Olivia Cooke, they took over for Alicent and Rhaenyra. And I did think they did a good job, but I'm telling you right now, I really liked that Millie Epcot, is that how you say her name? I don't remember. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Alcock, Millie Alcock. There, I'm just looking it up right now. I really did enjoy her, that Millie Alcock girl, woman. I really did enjoy her as an actress. She did a fantastic job as Rhaenyra, and it is a bummer to see her go. I was hoping that she would stick around, but obviously she isn't, and we all knew that. But yeah, Emma D'Arcy, she's doing a fine job so far, but it just seems so much like a different character. Like, it doesn't seem like the same kind of person, And I'll tell you right now, Olivia Cooke as Alicent, Alicent is the reason that you don't marry outside your house. You know what I'm saying? Because she is making money moves, and sometimes not in the best way. Sorry, I just need a little caffeine. It's still early for me as of recording this, but but her little chess pieces aren't listening. They're starting to do their own thing, and it's like, hey, why don't you watch yourself? All right, so I'm going to stop yapping about nonsense, and I'm going to break down this episode. But before I do, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, so now that I got the business out of the way, I will be bringing up some stuff and everything, some extra stuff. But all right. So it starts off with Rhaenyra giving birth, and I thought this scene was fantastic. One thing that I did like about it was while she's giving birth, her baby pops out, and she was happy to see it. I think that her and Alicent, I think Alicent just deals with her children, and I think Rhaenyra actually loves her children. I think Alicent loves her children, but in a different way, and not in a way that I would approve of. But I really think that Rhaenyra actually loves her children. So in walks this little handmaid, and she's all like, the queen has ordered you to see the baby. She wants to see the baby. And she's like, now? And so she's like, fine. She wants to see the baby. I'm going with. So she cleans up the best she can, which is, I'm all like, man, and because she's like, I'm not letting this baby out of my sight. I don't trust Alicent, and I wouldn't trust her either. And Alicent wants to see the baby because she wants to see if it's, a bastard or not. So she's walking through the palace, and her husband, what's his face? His name is Laenor. He's walking with her, and he's just basically like, how could she do this to you? You know, she wants to see the baby now. And she's all like, yeah, well, you know, she's a jerk and stuff. So she's walking through and walking past all these people, and she's going up the stairs, and she's obviously in pain. And she gets there, and there's the queen. She's looking great. She's looking refreshed because she didn't just have a baby. And she sees the baby, and then in walks, oh, I didn't get a good thing of him from the front. Bummer. All right, in walks Viserys, which I want to just say, hold on, let me get a good, I think I have one of him, and then we'll go back. Hold on. No, okay. So Viserys, give me 2 seconds and we'll go back to all those screenshots. So Viserys is not looking good. When he walked in and smiled, I was like, oh, he looks like freaking Gollum right here. I was like, is that Gollum or is that King Viserys? Because he's looking rough these days. I was like, you need a dentist and some hair plugs, my dude, because you are looking rough. But it's fine. It's fine. So, okay. So back to the hold on. So then, the king takes the baby, and he's all like, oh, I think he has your nose. And I was like, not so much, honey. And I can't remember what the queen says here, but then she sees the baby, and she tells Larian, oh gosh, the husband, she tells him, she's like, maybe the next time the baby will look like you, which is from the book. That line is from the book. It's only one book. And then he tells her how he's genuinely happy for her, for the birth of their child, which I think that Viserys is happy for her, because I think he does love his child also. That's the thing. I think Viserys loves his children. I think Alicent is the only one in this that looks at her children as her own little pawns, which I'm all like, oh, that's horrible. Oh, here she is. This is when she says, maybe the next one will look like you. So then they leave, and he names the baby Joffrey after his ex-lover. There's a lot of like repeating of names, which confuses a lot of people. It even confuses me sometimes, because for instance, my wife was all like, Aegon is the name of the queen's eldest son, and she's all like, why do they keep calling him a conqueror? And I was like, when they're talking about Aegon the Conqueror, they're not talking about this Aegon. They're talking about Aegon the First that came from Valyria. And then I got to go into that whole thing. And I mean, I get why they do it in there, but it's a little confusing, even for me sometimes. Like, I'm all like, oh, what's their names sound like too close together. Anyways, so they go back to her suite, her room, and there's Lord Strong. And he is there. They show him the egg that they've picked out for the new baby. And he's there because he's the father. He's the baby daddy. You are the father. Yay! And everything. Anyways, so they leave, and he's chilling out with them, and he's all like, looks strong and stuff. So then back at the dragon pit, they get this dragon come out. Now, I can't remember the name of this dragon. I believe it's Tesseron, but Tesserian. I don't remember. Anyway, sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing dragon names. But anyway, so they bring out this dragon, and the eldest son of the queen, all the boys are out here. The queen's sons and the princess's sons, Rhaenyra's sons. And they're basically doing dragon training. Now to train a dragon to like be able to ride a dragon, you have to have Valyrian blood. That's the thing about the Targaryens and the Valyrian house, is they're from Valyria, and they used blood magic to be able to like tame the dragons. So that's why they speak in High Valyrian and all that stuff, because they used magic, and all that magic has been lost. So you can't ride a dragon unless you marry and have a baby with a Valyrian, someone from House Valyrian, or a Targaryen. That's why everybody wants to marry a Targaryen, because they want that blood in their babies and stuff. So that way they can have a dragon in their house. Sorry, I keep taking sippy sips. So here's her oldest son. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. Whatever. And so he's training by speaking High Valyrian and all that. And they're really the dragon is very cool looking, by the way. These aren't really like dragons. These are more like wyverns or wyverns, which I understand that choice that they've made in the show, but I wish they hadn't made it. I wish that they had chosen to go with a traditional dragon look, because I personally think that that's better. All right, so they're doing, and they're giving Aemon here. They're giving him some crap because he doesn't have a dragon yet, which I do want to talk about it, but I'll talk about it later because he does get a dragon. Okay, so there's two ways to get a dragon, in Westeros. Okay, you can either get an egg and like nurture it and everything, and then when it hatches, that you like bond to it or whatnot, or there you find an older dragon, somebody else's dragon, and you ride that one, which has been totally been done before. It's not like that hasn't been done before. I'm trying to think. For instance, without giving something away, who has ridden a dragon that's been previously rode before? Oh, Vhagar. Vhagar was ridden by one of Aegon Targaryen's sisters, and now Lyanna rides it. There we go. And Lyanna found it, which I wish they would have shown that in this show, but they didn't. It's fine though. It's fine. Okay, so anyway, sorry, I'm taking my sweet time. So they're giving Aemon some crap about not being able to not having a dragon, and they're like, "We found a dragon for you," and they pull out this pig, and they're like, "It's pink pig or pink flyer." I can't remember what they call it and everything. And I'm all like, that's not really nice, you guys, to like, that's your brother, dude. Like, why would you do that? And that's your brother, right? Yeah, that's like their half brother. So it's like, why would you do that to your sibling? Like, I would never treat my siblings like that. Like, I mean, yeah, you give them crap and everything, and that's fine. But I mean, like, come on, man. So he goes down in the tunnels because he's like, I want a dragon. And he sees this dragon. I don't know which dragon that is. I'm assuming it may be Melee's, but I honestly don't know which. Or maybe that's Cyrax. I can't really tell. But yeah. So then so he gets a little scared because it breathes fire and everything, which I totally understand. And so then we go back here, and this is Princess Helena Targaryen, her daughter, her one and only daughter. And she's, talk about this bug, and they talk about how maybe she's like a seer or a dreamer, not a seer, sorry, a dreamer. But I can't remember if there's anything that says specifically that she's a dreamer. So she basically just chit and chat with her, and she sees her son, and she's like, whose idea was this? And he tells her whatnot, and she goes and she complains to her husband. And oh man, he's looking bad here. Hold on. I want to go back to, okay. So real quick, I'll just tell you this because of later on events that happen. Aegon ends up writing Vhagar because Vhagar becomes available later on in this episode. So he ends up writing Vhagar. And we do see him later on in the show, and I will show you a picture of him right now because this is him later on. He loses his eye. I'm not going to tell you how he loses his eye, but this is him. And I'm only showing you this because we've seen these in the trailers. So this is Aegon, or Aemon when he gets older, in the show. So we will see him, and I won't tell you any more about him as far as the books go. So he will get his dragon, and he's one of those people that he charms an older dragon. So anyways, I can't remember what they're talking about here, but they're talking about, I think she's talking about her sons, their children or whatnot. I can't remember. I really can't remember. So she's walking, and they're chit-chat and everything because Cole he does not like Rhaenyra anymore because she wouldn't run away with him. Now in the book, it's a little bit different because there's conflicting stories, which is something that I like about this show, is that they pick one story because there's like 3 or 4 versions. Like Mushroom, he said that they slept together. Mushroom is like a little person, like a court jester. And then the Septon, he says that they didn't sleep together, that Rhaenyra tried to sleep with him. Like she approached him and tried to get him to break his vows. And he rebuffed her. And that because she tried that, he forever hated her for it, because he's all like, you tried to get me to break my vows, as a guard of the king. And I'm really pissed off at you about that. But I'm glad that this show was like, no, they slept together. That's why he's mad. And he's very like obsessed about it. And he calls her a cunt. And she gives him a look. He's like, I'm sorry, that is unbecoming of me. And the thing about Alicent is she is trying to be proper. And she talks about like virtue and stuff like that. And she's trying to be like a good person, but she's also trying to secure her and her family's place. So she finds her son jerking off in a window. Very weird. I just want to say that. Very weird. Like, ew. And she catches him, and he hops in his bed. I'm all like, yeah, we've all been there before. I've never been there before, but I'm just saying, it happens. And so she's talking to him basically. She's like, who did it? And he's like, it was the other kid. And she's like, no, who did it? And she's like, listen, she's like, when inside the house, you can make fun of your brother and you can tease him and stuff like that. But when you're out in the world, you defend him. And that's totally true. When my kids, when they're here at home, like, fine, you guys want to be siblings. I get that. But when we're out in the real world, you better defend your brother or sister, no matter if you think they're right or wrong. Like I tell my wife all the time, like when we're out in public, even if I think you're wrong on something, I will still go to bat with you and I will defend you forever. Like I will argue your point. But when we get home, I'm going to be like, you were wrong, right? You were wrong. They were right. But it's cool. And she basically says to him, she's like, you do not understand. She's like, when if Rhaenyra takes the throne, your life is in danger. She's like, you could possibly be killed. And he's all like, and she's like, just because he's like, well, I won't be a threat or whatever. And she's like, the fact that you are living is a threat. All right, I'm gonna get through the rest of this pretty fast. So we got Craxes. He's my favorite dragon. I just like him because he's red and everything, the red worm. And he's very cool looking. I do not like Vhagar. I don't like the look they've given Vhagar, but this is Vhagar. Vhagar is the largest dragon on the planet. And she's the oldest dragon also. Because she's from Valyria. And Lyanna has found her and is riding her. And I love this little like play banter. They're riding it together and they're like playing or whatever. She goes up, she says, Dracarys, and it breathes fire. And then Daemon has to ride through it. But because he's Targaryen, fire doesn't affect him. And it kind of pisses Caraxes off a little bit. He's like, whatever the noise he makes. And they're just fighting. It's very cool. And this guy is very impressed, this Pentos guy. So they're having dinner and they're talking about how the cook is great and the plum pie, you're going to fight over the crumbs. He's like, well, before we come to blows, I have a proposal. She's like, you want to marry our oldest daughter? And her daughter's like, what? And he's like, no. He wants them to stay in Pentos to help them against the Triarchy and Dorne, because the Triarchy is trying to get Dorne to be an ally. And so therefore they're going to have some more problems. And they want them to stay here and they'll give them land, a castle, all that good stuff. And Lyanna is basically like, I don't want to stay here, but Daemon does. So they're talking later on. She's pregnant, by the way. And they're sitting here talking. And he's like, why don't we stay here? We would have a good life. And she basically, she's like, I don't want to stay here. She's like, I want my son to be born, we're in my father's castle and live his life there. I want to die a dragon rider's death. And I liked it. I like Lyanna. I like this actress too. I don't know who this actress is off the top. I have it here. Hold on. I can tell you, but I really liked her. I liked I liked the new actors and actresses they got, but at the same time, I'm just like, I miss the old. Well, we didn't. This is Nina Blondell. I don't know if that's how you say it, but anyways, she does a very good job. I'm bummed that she's not going to be in anymore. So, That's what she tells him. So then we go over to the courtyard where the boys are training, and that's what all boys have to do in this time period in this fake world. And there's the hand of the king, Sir Strong, and the king, obviously. And they're just the king's all, which, by the way, Paddy Considine is very good, a very good actor. I enjoy him very much. Anyways, so they're sitting here watching him, and Lionel Strong, he's all like, "Isn't this great? So strong." Boys being boys kind of thing. So they're training, and obviously Aemon is not good, and they're kind of giving him crap. And Sir Strong, Harwin over here, he's watching his sons. And then Sir Cole, he's put the two oldest boys against each other, and they're fighting, and he's basically not being cool. Like he's like, attack, attack, attack. And obviously this boy is better at fighting than the other kid. Jekkaries. I don't know how to say their names. Anyways, which, don't worry, he's gonna get his own dragon later on. He's gonna get Vermax. I don't know, Vermax. I don't know if that's how you say it. Anyways, and his brother's gonna get one. He's gonna get Arax. Anyways, so they're basically fighting, and Sir Strong is like, all right, calm it down. And he steps in. He's like, you need to calm it down. And he goes, you're defending them like you would a brother or a cousin or a son. And then he attacks Sir Cole because he's basically calling him out. He's like, you go too far. Him attacking him was the bad decision, because then he says, like, hey, it's true. So then she tells Rhaenyra what happened. So she goes and she hears the conversation between father and son. He's all like, you have put us in a bad state. He's basically said that you've told everybody what's going down, that your children are bad, that those children are bastards, and you put in your Rhaenyra in a bad position. You put our house in a bad position. So then Laenor comes in with his little love fest dude. I can't remember his name. Anyways, and they're basically talking about how they're going to go and they're going to sail the seven seas and fight Sir Carl Corey. Anyways, and she's like, no, you're not. She's like, you're not leaving. You're going to stay here. And he's like, I've been here for 10 years. And she's like, yeah, and you've lived pretty good for those 10 years. She's like, you knew what we got into. You knew what you were getting into. We both would do what we wanted to. We would get married because that was our duty. And then, here is their oldest daughter, or no, their second daughter. Her name is Rhaenyra. She's basically like, Dad doesn't like me. And she's like, that's not true. And she's like, don't worry, your dragon will hatch. Sometimes they don't hatch. She's like, sometimes you have to tame them, like me when I did with Vhagar. And I wish they would have shown her finding Vhagar and taming Vhagar. It would have been really cool, but they don't have time, apparently. Maybe we'll get some flashbacks. Who knows? In season 2. So then she goes and she talks to him, and she's basically like, hey, I think maybe this is where she talks about how she wants a dragon rider's death. Sorry, this is where she talks about how she wants a dragon rider's death. But she's basically like, we're not staying here, just so you know. So then back at the small council, they're talking about the Stepstones again. The Stepstones, there's war breaking out in the Stepstones. And Alicent says this is not their problem. This is a Stepstones problem. That's not their problem. And Rhaenyra is talking about how, no, we should have set stuff up, kept men there, to keep it in line, but we become weak. And she's like, yeah, well, our coffers are not bottomless. We can't afford it. So they're ending the meeting when Rhaenyra stands up and she says, I have a proposal. We should marry your eldest son, or my eldest son, to your daughter. This will solidify our houses, and and then it will also keep us strong, and because we used to be friends. And she's all like, I know what's going on. Now, Viserys, he likes this, but she's like, oh, we'll think about it. But while she's doing it, she starts to leak milk because she's breastfeeding. That's what happens when you have babies. And she's like, 7 hells. And so they leave, and she's like, this is a good match. And she's like, she's a fox trapped in a corner, and she knows exactly what's going down. And she's like, no, the answer is no. So they go back here. The hand comes in, Sir Lionel. He comes in, and he's trying to resign his post as Hand of the King. And he's like, why? And he's all like, He's like, I can no longer in good faith tell you what to do. And he's actually a good hand of the king. He's actually a really good hand of the king, because he's telling him that, hey, without telling him, because he's like, if you want to quit, you need to tell me why. And he's like, I can't tell you why. Okay, and her face right here, hold on. Her face is, she's salivating. She's like, yeah, tell him why and everything. And it's because, you know, his son impregnated his daughter, and those are his grandchildren also. But he goes, I can't tell you. And he's like, well, then I don't accept your resignation. And this says that he's a good hand of the king and he's a good dude. But he says, fine, if I can't resign, then please give me a leave of absence so I can take my son to Harrenhal so I can show him how to get started on running the family, kind of thing. And he's like, fine, you have a leave of absence. So then she goes to her chambers, where Clubfoot, and this is his name, and he is Sir Lionel Strong's second. This is Loras, his second son. And they call him Clubfoot because he's got a clubfoot. So then he's telling her, she tells him about how his father tried to give it up and everything. And they all know what's doing and everything. So then he goes and he gets these dudes out of prison. And he's like, listen, you're all going to die because of what you've done, but you can live if you serve me and you let me cut out your tongue. So they all say yes. And so then Lyanna is giving birth to their son. And the doctor's all like, I've done everything I can do. The baby's not going to come. And he's all like, you have to make a decision. He's like, either you can let your wife and the baby die, or you can cut the baby out of your wife and your wife will die, but your baby could live, just like his brother. And when this happened, I was so sad, because I was like, you know, it's got to be like, I just wish modern medicine had been there that time periods like this, because more women would have survived. And it's just a bummer. But unlike his brother, he cannot make the decision. He's like, no, I'm not going to kill my wife to save my son. And Lyanna, like a strong woman, she gets up and she walks out to Vhagar. And she's like, Jacaerys. And Vhagar just looks at her like, I don't want to. She's like, and she pleads with Vhagar. She's like, Jacaerys. And when this happened, I was so sad. Because Lyanna, she was, I don't know, I liked her character. We didn't get to know her for very long. And I was just like, I wish we got to know her more in this show. Finally, she stands up and she says, Dracarys. And that's when Vhagar finally gives in and gives her the Dragon Rider's death that she wanted. And of course, Daemon sees this and he is petrified by this. He's just completely mortified by the whole thing. So we go back here and Sir Harwin is saying goodbye to his sons, but he's not saying goodbye to his sons. Wink, wink. And he's all like, and he says, he's like, I'll be a stranger to this child the next time I see him, which is so true. And then he leaves, and his son, how do you say his name? Jacaerys. Anyways, Jacaerys. I don't know how to say his name. He says to his mother, he's all like, Sir Harwin Strong is my father, isn't he? He's like, I'm a bastard, aren't I? And she's basically like, hey, don't say this shit out loud, fucker. You're gonna get us in trouble. So then back in the courtyard, these two are fighting, and she's like, hey, she's like, I'm gonna give you what you want. We need to get the hell out of here now. You said, and he said before, a good sailor sails away before the storm comes. And she's like, yo, the storm is coming. We need to get the fuck out of Dodge. And he's all like, and then this guy's upset, and she's like, yo, you can bring your boy toy with you. She's like, we need all the soldiers we can get. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you my sword, give you that good D, which is fine. So then the Strongs are going back to Harrenhal. Now, if you remember Harrenhal, and we'll see, I'll tell you about it. We've seen this in Game of Thrones before. So there's what's his face, Larys's little men, and they have this little bee symbol. I mean, it's like whatever. He ends up becoming the master of whispers in the council. And so Sir Lionel wakes up, and Sir Harwin is trying to save his father because he's locked in his room and he can't get out. And he's all like, He's like, he'll burn to death if we don't get him out and everything. And then the roof falls down on him and they both end up dying. And then they go, she takes them to Dragonstone. Sorry, I should have said that because that's where she's eventually going to name herself queen. She's got her whole family there. There's Dragonstone. I love Dragonstone. It's not my favorite. My favorite is the Red Keep. I love the Red Keep. All right. So now while this is going on, Larys is doing a voiceover and he says, what's our children but a weakness, a folly, a futility. Through them you imagine you cheat the great darkness of its victory. You persist forever in some form or another, as if they will keep you from the dust. But for them you surrender what you should not. We may know what is the right thing to be done, but love stays the hand. Love is a downfall. Best to make your way through life unencumbered. Now, while this is all going on, hold on. So she goes to Dragonstone. Then we get the king, and he kisses the ring of his first wife. And that's sad. Man, he's looking bad. Okay. And he's just, the rats are still crawling through his room. Then this is Harrenhal. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen Harrenhal all gross like this. It's not as bad as in Game of Thrones. This is Harrenhal in Game of Thrones. And it's obviously just crap. But that's because it gets burned down by dragons. It happens, war. Am I right, guys and girls? And we see the bodies, and then his little men are there, going through. And then we see the dead body of Lyanna, and her daughters are upset. And then here's Larys. And she's basically like, I did not wish for this. I didn't wish for this. This is not what I wanted. And he's all like, he's all like, yes, but I hope that you will give me my due when time comes. And I'm like, yeah, because if she doesn't, you're gonna send those little tongueless freaks to kill her. And then basically they're gonna get Otto Hightower back as the hand. And then that's the end of the episode, you guys. And like I said, this isn't my favorite episode, but this episode was pretty good in my opinion. I think that they're doing a good job. I have to admit, the new, especially this Rhaenyra, it just seems like a completely different character compared to Millie's Rhaenyra, which is fine. But at the same time, I just go, I kind of want Millie back, but what are you going to do? So that is my breakdown and review, you guys. Sorry it took so long and I was like babbling there for a hot minute. But yeah, again, tell me what you guys thought about this. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? How do you feel about the new actresses? How do you feel about Lyanna's death? Who's your favorite character and all that jazz? Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit the like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week on my House of the Dragon breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Dracarys. Bye.